Hey, badass listeners. I hope that you're having a fabulous summer and that you're really enjoying yourselves. I can't believe it that we are officially making it to Volume 5, the grand finale of our summer series reboot. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has been doing the homework, tagging me on Instagram, and taking the time to truly pause and reset with me over the last month. As we wrap up the summer series, I'm thrilled to tell you that we have an incredible lineup of guest interviews heading your way for the fall. Next week, we're kicking things off with Julianne Colbrand, also known as Jules the Budget Nerd. She's also the host of the Debt Rebel podcast and will be dropping some very serious wisdom on ADHD-friendly money management. So you are not going to want to miss that one. But for today's episode, we are heading back into the vault one last time for the midlife edit. It is time to ditch the back burner, clear out the emotional junk drawer, and figure out what needs to go and what can stay so that we can finally reclaim our damn lives. All right, let's finish this reset strong and we will get started right now. The thing is, you don't need more hustle. What you do need is more clarity and more courage. So you don't need more stuff. You don't need more hustle. You don't need more of this. You don't need more of that. You need less, less, less. And actually, less is more. More clarity, more courage. You're listening to Midlife Strategies for Badass Women, the no BS podcast for women over 40 who are sick of playing by someone else's rules. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, badass midlife strategist, truth teller, and professional fire starter for midlife reinvention. Around here, we don't do fluff. We do real talk, bold strategies, and badass breakthroughs. Because midlife isn't a crisis, it's your damn power move. If you're all in, unapologetic, and ready to reinvent, let's get started. Welcome back to Midlife Strategies for Badass Women. I'm Sue Willoughby, your host and Chief Badass Strategist. Okay, so today is our final installment of our summer series, which we are calling Midlife Reclamation, Summer Reset. So I hope you all have been doing your homework with each episode. And today is our final episode. This is episode 5. And we are going today to be talking about the midlife edit. In other words, taking shit off the back burner and putting it on the front burner or taking it off the stove altogether and just making things happen. Each week, we've been building on reclaiming your midlife. And every week, we've had a little actionable takeaway. And so hopefully you've been doing your homework. And then today, we're going to put it all together and we're going to talk about editing your midlife and taking shit off the back burner. And that is really kind of the final step rather than keeping things tucked away for someday, somewhere, someday. So the theme of today's episode is releasing what no longer fits or is no longer serving you or has just been hanging around for way too damn long and getting it out of the way, just getting rid of it. Don't even put it back on the back burner, take it off the back burner, put it in a box and get it the heck out of here. Because once you do that, then you've got space to choose what comes next. And that is the fun part. So here's the deal. Midlife isn't just about adding more shit. It's about editing the shit you already have. So, like I said, it's time to be brutally honest with all of the things that you've been carrying around. You want to have a nice little carry-on to take on the plane. You don't want to be hauling around a big old steamer trunk with you everywhere you go. So be honest about what's taking up too much space, what's draining your energy, and what's keeping you stuck right where you are. The thing is, you don't need more hustle. What you do need is more clarity and more courage. So you don't need more stuff. You don't need more hustle. You don't need more of this. You don't need more of that. You need less, less, less. And actually, less is more. more clarity, more courage. So some of the things that we will cover today is that back burner problem. Women of a certain age, myself included at times, have put something off until someday. Well, what happens if someday never comes? When you say, well, if I had more time, I would do this, or when I have more money, or when the kids are out of the house, or when my husband retires, or whatever, there's always a excuse. When this happens, then I will do this thing for myself. And that's what I mean by the back burner syndrome. You just put stuff away and it's kind of like a bucket list. Now, listen to me for just a second. There's nothing really wrong with a bucket list if you actually do the stuff that you're wanting to do. The idea of a bucket list is exciting things, experiences, travel, whatever that you're like, that I want to do someday. Well, guess what? Someday is here. And I'm not saying that you have to do everything all at once, but look at some of the things that you've been putting off. Are there adventures you've wanted to take? Are there classes you've wanted to take? Are there, experiences that you've wanted to have? I'm sure that you have a fairly decent sized list of things that you want to do someday. That's my air quotes. Someday. So the someday pile becomes the graveyard of all of the stuff that is basically your unlived life. Let's talk about why now is the best time to choose differently. Because why not? This is a time when you start thinking about what the heck am I going to do next? I want to live my life differently. I want to make changes. This is now. Right now is what we're talking about. So get out that list of stuff that you've been putting on the back burner and let's go through it. Let's check a few things off. Let's figure out what things you don't want to do anymore. And that way they're not taking up space in your brain and in your psyche. Editing is powerful. So when you can start to edit things out, it's like, think of a hot air balloon. And the hot air balloon has to have a certain amount of ballast to keep it from just going up into the stratosphere and never being seen again. But at the same time, you have to figure out, okay, when do I let out enough sand to go a little bit higher? Or when do I need more ballast? Odds are you've probably got plenty of ballast keeping you pretty low to the ground. So let's start to pick up a sandbag or two and empty some sand out and see if we can move upward, outward, and on an adventure. So editing equals clarity plus commitment. Letting go of what no longer aligns, like relationships, habits. There's so many things in your life right now that I bet you can do without. There's also physical stuff in our lives that we can do without. We hang on to things because they have some sort of emotional attachment. And it's just stuff when it comes down to it. And I'm saying this for my own benefit as much as for your benefit as well. I think about times when I've, gotten a big bag of clothes that's been, my closet is full right now. How many things in my closet do I currently wear? Probably about 10. Okay. So the thing is, I could get rid of a whole bunch of crap and then I'd have so much space in my closet to go get more clothes or go get things that I would wear now. So let's do a personal inventory of things that are taking up space in your closet or in your living room or in your wherever. There's a lot of stuff in your life, I bet, that's taking up space, right? Is there? Think about it. When you have more space, and when you get rid of stuff you don't need, you've got space for things you do need, things that you want, and things that you desire. Remember last week when we talked about desire? You got to make space for desire. Make space for those things that light you up. So let's get going. Now, I know it sounds overwhelming because sometimes I open up my closet and I'm like, oh my God, that's too much stuff. And then you think, well, gosh, if I get rid of this pair of pants, I may want to wear them next week. When was the last time I wore those pair of pants? Maybe 2 years ago? Okay, well, you don't need them anymore. So think of things that way. If you've got a list of things that you want to do or things that you feel are holding you back, just say, why is this thing holding me back? Start to question that. Get curious about it. Why am I holding on to this? If you don't have a good reason, get rid of it. Put it in the goodwill pile. Get rid of it. Hello, my beautiful badass. I hope you're enjoying my summer solo series about reclaiming your midlife. If this has gotten you wondering about, wow, yeah, I really do need to do something here, and I'm a people pleaser and I just don't know how to get out of it, sign up for my newsletter. I offer a lot of tips weekly. It comes out on Thursdays. And if you're ready to rock and roll, just book a curiosity call. It's not a coaching call. It's not a sales call. It's just a, hey, this is what's going on with me. What the heck can I do about it? Kind of a call. I'd love to chat with you and help you on your journey and guide you down the path, whatever that path may be. So connect with me through my newsletter. You can also follow me on Instagram, Sue_Willoughby, or just go to my website, check out some of my coaching stuff. And I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great summer. There's lots of ways to start small. One is physical, another is emotional, another is calendar, social, etc. So before you get overwhelmed by all the stuff in your closet that you don't need anymore, let's just start small. Some of the physical things in your house that you don't need anymore, make a donation box, get rid of some of those. When you're not surrounded by clutter, you'll feel lighter, you'll feel more spacious, you'll feel more expansive. Once you've attacked some of the physical things that may be a little bit easier to get rid of, then let's look at some of the emotional things. What is some emotional baggage and emotional clutter that you have, that you've been carrying around, that you can cut the cord and release? Think of it like a helium balloon. Just let it go. How freeing is that to watch the balloon just go up, catch a breeze, and be gone? Yeah. You can also look at your calendar. Time is another area where we can feel really cluttered and very overwhelmed. So look at your calendar. Are there appointments on there that are absolutely necessary? Are they appointments and events that are making you feel good? Or are they events that are kind of weighing you down and making you feel resentful for even committing to them in the first place? Then, that kind of goes along with your social schedule. Are you the type of person that can't say no to social events, and you feel like, oh, I got to go to this person's birthday and this person's wedding and this other thing, and then go out to dinner and then do all these things, and you just don't have any time for yourself? So those are a couple of other places to look for clutter in our lives. There's many more. Just start thinking about areas that you feel overwhelmed, because if you feel overwhelmed and stressed in one area, that means there's too much stuff going on. There's too much stuff on the back burner. There's too much stuff weighing you down and keeping you stuck. So just start to evaluate various areas. And if you're not sure, you can ask yourself this question: is this helping me grow, or is this keeping me stuck? Is this giving me more time, or is this blocking up my calendar? So just say, is this good, or is this not so good? Is this light, or is this heavy? Does this fit, or does it not fit? So those are just some easy questions that you can ask yourself to help sort of clear away the clutter. Let discomfort be a part of the process. Freedom is worth the friction. So if it feels a little uncomfortable to say no to something, like a social event or something else, then it's probably something that you don't want to do anyway. So if you feel a little uncomfortable, if you got some discomfort going on, then that's probably a good thing. That's a good way to tell if something needs to go. Here's the thing. Being a real estate agent, I've helped a lot of people move. And there are some people that have been in their homes for 30 years or more. I myself had lived in my house in Seattle for over 20 years. When you live in a house that long, yes, granted, every once in a while you do kind of a purge and you get stuff out of there. But when you have to pack everything up and move it to another location, because you got to move out of the house, you start to go, why am I moving this box of stuff that I haven't even opened in 20 years? Why am I taking it to the new house? So you open up that box and you're like, oh my God, this stuff is so cool. How come I haven't looked at it in 20 years? Guess what? Probably because you don't need it. Why are you lugging it around? Why are you taking this stuff with you then to the new location to only be packed up in the box again for another 20 years? So that's kind of an example of how you can accumulate too much stuff, whether it's personal, physical, emotional, or whatever. So it doesn't have to be a tangible item. It can be emotional baggage that we just store. We think, if I let this go, something's going to happen. Well, the thing that's going to happen is that it's probably going to give you some space to breathe. I mean, when I packed up my house to get ready to list it, I felt like, wow, I've got so much space in this house. Not that I had a bunch of stuff anyway, but it's like, it just felt so freeing to take carload after carload of stuff to the Goodwill, but getting rid of things that you no longer need anymore. So if it's emotional stuff, get out a piece of paper and write down some things that you personally feel like you could do without, emotionally speaking, whether it's a story that you have that you've been carrying around, whether it's a relationship that you have with somebody that you find yourself forcing or just feeling uncomfortable about, like it's just not fun anymore. It doesn't feel light. It doesn't feel good. And I'm not saying that friendships or relationships have to be happy and perky and sunshine and rainbows and puppies all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes things run their course and we still hang in there. For what reason? To what end? So if something is not feeling great, write it down. And then when you've got this list of things that you need to let go of, crinkle it up into a ball. Take it outside, put it in a safe container, and I mean an open safe container, because the next thing I want you to do is take a match and burn that piece of paper and watch all this stuff go up in smoke, and then take a deep breath in, hold it, and then release. Do this a few times because you really do need to feel the clearing and to feel the release of all of the things that you've been carrying around. Same thing when you drop off a few bags at the Goodwill. You're letting things go. And even though it may be difficult, it will feel better in the long run. Trust me. You're going to feel freer, you're going to feel lighter, and all of that. Well, let's go back to what we were talking about with our audit. We're going to take an audit. First, let's go through your calendar. Then we're going to go through your inner dialogue of stuff that you're telling yourself. Then you're going to look at your relationships, and then you're going to look at your physical space. And with each one of these containers, you're going to ask yourself, what no longer serves me? With everything in each one of those categories. Now, each one of those categories may have a whole bunch of stuff, but just start slow. Make this a process. Get in the habit of that. Maybe the first day or the first week, you look at your calendar. Go through your calendar for the next couple of months and say, what kind of things can I get rid of? Then maybe you think about your inner dialogue. Start building awareness about the stories that you're telling yourself when things come up. And think about, is that talk healthy? Is that inner dialogue making me feel good about myself? Or is that inner dialogue making me feel kind of shitty about myself? So figure out what no longer serves you. Then take a look at what needs to be released or reimagined. Sometimes you don't have to get rid of something altogether. Sometimes you can reimagine it. You can do that with your physical space, your emotional space. So don't think you have to like get rid of everything and live a minimalist lifestyle, although it's probably a little bit healthier for all of us if we did. But sometimes you can just reimagine something. And then what one action can you take this week in this process that will make you feel a little bit lighter? And I want you to document that. If you have a journal, keep track of what you are getting rid of and then what you feel like once it's gone, or once it's going, or when you're in the process of getting rid of some things. I think you will find that it's like a muscle. When you go to the gym, you start working out, and at first it's kind of painful. And you come home and you're like, I'm never going to the gym again. But you get up the next morning, you go to the gym, and you start feeling a little bit better because maybe the second day or the third day, you find that getting up a little bit earlier, going to the gym, exercising, you have more energy throughout the day instead of less. So if you had instead hit the snooze button and slept for another hour, you may wake up more groggy. After a few days, what you're doing is creating a new habit. So through this process, you are creating a new habit of when things come into your life, eventually you will get to the point where when something new comes in, you know maybe that you need to release something else, or you release something else and then you could allow something new to come in. Or if you want to bring something new into your life, you may stop and ask yourself, do I even want to bring this into my life so that I only have to get rid of it later? Maybe it's something that you don't need to bring in at all. Just some food for thought. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this editing process and how it's going for you. If you're finding it difficult, if you're finding it easy and you're thinking, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Great. Let me know. Shoot me an email or send me a DM, whatever you want. But I would love to hear how you're going with this process. Thank you for joining me for this solo summer series about reclaiming your midlife. I really do appreciate you being here, and I hope that you found this helpful. If so, share it with a friend. Maybe just get an accountability buddy, and you can help each other clear out your closets, your physical closets and your emotional closets. So next week, we will be back to our interviews, and we will just keep on rolling. I love that you're here every week and that you're listening to me and that you're being part of my journey, and I can be part of your journey. So as we close out, let's declare it, hashtag MidlifeReClaimed. Write that in your journal and give yourself full permission to let all that shit go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And I will see you next week on Midlife Strategies for Badass Women.